The first chapter of Gakkyakutta plunges readers into a grim, stratified world where societal hierarchies are rigidly enforced and the line between value and waste is drawn with brutal precision. At the heart of this dystopian narrative is Rudo, a young outcast living in a slum perched perilously on the edge of a prosperous town, separated by a vast, gaping chasm known as the Abyss, a nightmarish dump site where both discarded objects and exiled humans are condemned to rot. The chapter opens with a haunting philosophical reflection on the souls imbued in cherished possessions and the existential void left in objects deemed trash, a metaphor that extends to the dehumanization of those society casts aside. Rudo, marked by his ragged gloves that conceal his disfigured, pitch-black hands, embodies this duality. He is both a scavenger who sees potential in what others discard and a pariah burdened by the sins of his parents, infamous murderers whose legacy brands him as inherently corrupt. His existence is defined by this tension between his empathy for the discarded and the scorn he faces from a society that views him as irredeemable. The slum itself, a former penal colony for criminals and their descendants, is a microcosm of systemic oppression, where residents like Rudo are perpetually surveilled, stigmatized, and denied redemption, forced to navigate a world that equates their worthlessness with the trash they salvage. Rudo's daily life revolves around scavenging the town's waste sites, driven by a belief that even broken or abandoned items retain value, a philosophy that mirrors his own desperate need to prove his humanity in the face of relentless prejudice. His actions, however, pit him against the town's authoritarian enforcers, who patrol the garbage sites to maintain the illusion of purity and order. Labeled the trash vandal for redistributing discarded items, Rudo becomes a fugitive, chased through shadowy alleyways and over crumbling rooftops in a tense, kinetic sequence that underscores his agility and desperation. This chase not only highlights the physical dangers he faces, but also the psychological toll of living as a perpetual outsider. The officer's venomous accusations that he jeopardizes the town's beauty reveal a society obsessed with superficial cleanliness, one that conflates moral decay with physical waste and uses violence to erase both. Rudo's narrow escape leaves him wounded, both physically and emotionally, as he retreats to the slum, where even his neighbors regard him with suspicion, whispering rumors that he is destined to follow his parents' violent path. These interactions lay bare the cyclical nature of prejudice. The slum's residents, themselves descendants of criminals, replicate the same bigotry they suffer from, ostracizing Rudo to distance themselves from the stigma of their shared history. Amid this hostility, Rudo's relationships with Chiwa and Regdo offer fleeting moments of warmth and humanity. Chiwa, a kind-hearted girl who sees beyond Rudo's scars and stigma, admires his skill in mending broken toys, a talent that symbolizes his refusal to accept the finality of discardment. In one poignant scene, Rudo gifts her a repaired stuffed animal, stumbling through awkward gestures of affection that reveal his vulnerability. Chiwa's unwavering defense of him, confronting bullies who taunt him as the son of a murderer, underscores the story's central theme, that empathy and connection can persist even in the bleakest environments. Yet their bond is fragile, threatened by the omnipresent fear that Rudo's actions will bring retribution upon them all. Regdo, Rudo's gruff but deeply caring guardian, serves as both a father figure and a voice of caution. Having taken Rudo in as an orphan, Regdo embodies the slum's conflicted ethos, a man who understands the necessity of survival but warns against the risks of defiance. Their dynamic is fraught with tension. Regdo urges Rudo to abandon his scavenging, fearing the authorities' wrath, while Rudo, driven by a mix of idealism and stubbornness, insists on proving that discarded things and people deserve a second chance. This clash of perspectives culminates in emotionally charged dialogues where Regdo's warnings about the abyss, if you commit a serious offense, you'll be cast into it, clash with Rudo's defiant resolve to challenge the status quo. The gloves Rudo wears, gifted by Regdo to hide his disfigured hands, become a potent symbol of concealment and identity. They represent the masks marginalized individuals must adopt to navigate a hostile world, shielding their vulnerabilities from a society eager to exploit them. Yet the gloves also carry a paradox. While they protect Rudo from immediate judgment, they reinforce the idea that his true self is something to be hidden, a shameful secret. This internal conflict between the safety of invisibility and the desire to be seen mirrors the broader struggle of the slums inhabitants, who are forced to suppress their histories to survive. The glove's gradual deterioration throughout the chapter mirrors Rudo's fraying patience with a system that demands his silence, foreshadowing his eventual eruption of rage. The chapter's turning point arrives with Regdo's brutal murder, a catastrophe that exposes the fragility of Rudo's precarious existence. Returning home to find Regdo bloodied and near death, Rudo is thrust into a nightmare of false accusation. His foster father's final words, "Change this shitty world," serve as both a plea and a prophecy, igniting Rudo's resolve even as the townspeople descend upon him. Covered in Regdo's blood and cornered by a mob, Rudo's protests of innocence are drowned out by the crowd's hysterical chants of "murderer." The scene lays bare the mechanics of scapegoating. The townspeople, desperate to preserve their illusion of order, seize on Rudo as a convenient target, their hatred amplified by years of ingrained prejudice. Authorities arrive not to investigate, but to expedite his execution, their rhetoric, filth to the abyss, echoing the dehumanizing logic that justifies his eradication. Even Chiwa's desperate pleas are ignored, her faith in Rudo crushed under the weight of collective hysteria. The ritualistic violence of his sentencing, being hurled into the abyss, serves as a grotesque spectacle, a public reaffirmation of the town's moral superiority. Rudo's fall into the abyss is a visceral descent into chaos, both literal and metaphorical. The abyss, depicted as a festering amalgamation of rotting waste, rusted machinery, and human remains, becomes a character in its own right, a testament to the society's hidden sins. As Rudo plunges into its depths, the narrative shifts from external conflict to internal resolve. Disoriented and battered, he confronts the stench of decay and the echoes of countless others discarded before him. Yet amid the despair, his anger crystallizes into a vow: "I'll send you all to hell." This moment marks a transformation from victim to avenger, as Rudo's survival instincts merge with a burning desire to dismantle the systems that condemned him. The abyss, once a symbol of erasure, becomes a crucible for rebellion, its very existence undermining the town's pristine facade by preserving the evidence of its cruelty. Interspersed with these harrowing events are quieter, introspective moments that deepen the story's emotional resonance. Flashbacks to Rudo's childhood reveal the origins of his blackened hands, a mysterious affliction tied to his parents' crimes, and the trauma of growing up orphaned in a community that reviles him. Regdo's efforts to shield Rudo, from crafting the gloves to offering gruff affection, highlight the precariousness of care in a world bent on punishment. Similarly, Chiwa's friendship illuminates the possibility of connection in a fractured society, even as her eventual betrayal, fueled by misinformation, underscores the pervasiveness of fear. The chapter's exploration of value extends beyond physical objects to interrogate how society assigns worth to human lives, questioning who gets to decide what, or who, is disposable. Themes of environmental degradation and class struggle are woven throughout, with the town's obsession with cleanliness mirroring real-world narratives of gentrification and marginalization. The slums residents, though complicit in policing their own, are ultimately victims of a larger system that pits the oppressed against one another to maintain control. The abyss, as a dumping ground for both trash and people, becomes a stark metaphor for capitalism's excesses, where the marginalized are literal human waste. Rudo's journey, from scavenger to fugitive to revolutionary, positions him as a figure of resistance, challenging the binaries of clean/unclean, valuable/worthless, and human/trash. As the chapter closes, Rudo's fate hangs in the balance. The abyss, teeming with secrets and survivors, hints at a subterranean society existing beneath the town's awareness. His vow of vengeance sets the stage for a larger narrative of uprising, while the unresolved mystery of Regdo's murder and the true nature of the abyss promise layers of intrigue. Through its stark imagery and unflinching social critique, Gakyakura Chapter 1 forces readers to confront uncomfortable questions about complicity, justice, and the cost of survival in a world that demands conformity. Ruto's struggle to reclaim his humanity, expose societal lies, and forge a path through the darkness resonates as a universal anthem for the dispossessed, a reminder that even in the depths of the abyss, defiance can ignite revolution.